Want to know what really happened between Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump yesterday at the White House? Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Dr. Ken Henry, and this is Conservative Commentary, where we spread the MAGA message. Before we dive in, I'd like to ask you for a favor. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This really helps us out and helps us grow the channel. And go to the address in the bottom right corner, youtube.com/@themagamessage, and check out our other videos. In yesterday's Oval Office meeting, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky exhibited actions that could be perceived as disrespectful toward President Donald Trump and, by extension, the American people. The meeting, intended to discuss peace negotiations and a potential natural resources agreement, devolved into a contentious exchange highlighting Zelensky's apparent disregard for diplomatic decorum and the support the United States has extended to Ukraine. Why did the Vice President and President tear into Zelensky? Remember, this was a photo op prior to a private meeting between the leaders, but Zelensky tried to hijack the meeting by using the press to make his plea for American security prior to any deal, and Trump and Vance weren't having it. The day got off to a bad start from the beginning. Prior to the meeting, U.S. officials requested that President Zelensky wear formal attire, a standard expectation for such high-level engagements. Zelensky refused, stating he would only do so after the war is finished, a decision that reportedly offended President Trump. Upon meeting Zelensky, Trump sarcastically remarked that he was all dressed up today, underscoring the perceived slight. The discussions, initially cordial, escalated when Vice President J.D. Vance emphasized the necessity of diplomacy to end the ongoing conflict. Zelensky rebuked this stance by referencing past breaches of ceasefires by Russia between 2014 and 2022. President Trump intervened, accusing Zelensky of disrespecting the administration and gambling with World War III by refusing to engage in peace talks. This confrontation led to the Ukraine delegation's premature departure from the White House on orders from President Trump, leaving the mineral agreement unsigned.
Mr. President, is there no deal? Mr. President, can you tell us what happened? President Zelensky, can you tell us what happened?
Андрій Борисович, чи підписали угоду? Пане Єрмак.
Throughout the exchange, President Trump highlighted the substantial aid provided by American taxpayers to Ukraine. He criticized Zelensky for his perceived ingratitude and unwillingness to make concessions necessary for peace, suggesting that such an attitude risks escalating the conflict into a global catastrophe. There are certainly implications for the U.S.-Ukraine relations from this meeting. Zelensky's actions during this meeting not only strained diplomatic relations, but also disrespected the United States' longstanding support for Ukraine. Such behavior raises concerns about the future of U.S. assistance and the potential for repercussions for Ukraine's stability amid ongoing aggression from Russia. As expected, the mainstream media wasted no time twisting the confrontation to fit their preferred narrative. Instead of focusing on Zelensky's blatant disrespect and unwillingness to cooperate on a path toward peace, left-wing outlets returned to their favorite worn-out talking point: Russia.
The thing I think that we actually saw in there was an audience of one. It almost looked like an Apprentice show where they were messaging to Vladimir Putin the support that they have for Putin and Russia in their war against Ukraine. And I think what we saw in the Oval Office, because I watched it a few times, because it's pretty stunning to watch that a sitting American president is kowtowing and bending the knee to a dictator who is actually losing a war in Ukraine and turning his back on NATO and our European allies.
At the start of this made-for-TV debacle at the White House today, where the president and Vice President J.D. Vance screamed at our ally Volodymyr Zelenskyy and berated him with Russian government talking points.
Rather than critically analyzing why Zelensky openly dismissed Trump's peace efforts or why Ukraine continues to demand unlimited U.S. taxpayer funding, outlets like CNN, MSNBC, and the New York Times framed the event as yet another example of Trump's so-called softness on Russia. They painted his push for diplomacy as appeasement and even suggested that Trump's refusal to blindly pledge more money to Ukraine was a sign that he was doing Vladimir Putin's bidding. The same media that spent years falsely claiming that Trump was a Russian agent are now attempting to tie this White House exchange to their long debunked collusion hoax. MSNBC pundits openly speculated that Trump's push for a peace deal might be coordinated with Moscow, while the Washington Post claimed that Trump's approach echoed Kremlin talking points. Of course, these outlets failed to mention that Trump's goal, ending the war, would save thousands of lives and prevent the conflict from escalating into a wider global catastrophe. Liberal networks conveniently ignored how Zelensky disrespected Trump by refusing to dress appropriately, openly challenging his administration's diplomatic efforts, and walking away from a crucial mineral trade deal. Instead, they framed the Ukrainian leader as the protector of democracy, standing up to Trump's supposed authoritarian leanings. Once again, their reporting showed that their loyalty lies with Ukraine's leadership, not the American people. The sudden resurgence of the Russian angle is no coincidence. With Trump's poll numbers rising and Biden's foreign policy failures becoming more apparent, the left needs to reignite the Russia-Trump smear to distract from their own weakness. This latest media spin is just another attempt to demonize Trump's America First agenda while justifying the endless flow of American money into Ukraine with no accountability. By reviving their tired Russia conspiracy theories, the mainstream media once again proved they are more interested in trying to tarnish Trump than telling the truth. But the American people aren't falling for it anymore. President Zelensky's conduct during his recent visit to the White House reflects a troubling disregard for the diplomatic norms and generosity extended by the United States. Such actions undermine the mutual respect essential for effective international partnerships and could jeopardize the support Ukraine relies upon in its ongoing struggle. His behavior makes me wonder why he's so against diplomacy. We know that Ukraine has a long history of official corruption, and we know that we've sent billions of dollars to Ukraine. Could it be that Zelensky and his cronies back home want the gravy train to continue? There's more to his refusal to engage in diplomatic efforts than meets the eye. Now, we know that 5 of Zelensky's military leaders has to plot to steal $40 million, and those stolen funds were used to purchase lavish estates, vineyards, and other real estate in France. Perhaps Zelensky himself has skimmed money as well. Suffice it to say that Zelensky learned several valuable lessons yesterday. Now he risks losing American support because of his disrespect and questionable resistance to diplomacy. And he learned that the new sheriff in town won't put up with his disrespect. What do you think? Watch the following clip and please share your thoughts in the comments.
You were in the room where it all happened. Take us inside that room for a moment, would you? And then please tell us what you believe the president will say in response to what Zelensky said on Bret Baier's show.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, Laura. And it was incredibly tense in that room, and things turned bad and bitter very quickly because, unfortunately, President Zelensky refuses to recognize the pragmatic reality about the war that his country is facing. This war has been going on for years. His countrymen are dying. And most of all, President Zelensky failed to recognize that he's walking into the Oval Office with a new sheriff in town. And that sheriff is Donald Trump. And he is a peacemaker in chief. belief. He wants this war to end, and he understands that his people, the American people, are sick and tired of footing the bill for this war to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars. And so it's very unfortunate for the Ukrainian people and for President Zelensky that he walked in with this mindset of give from the American people without much gratitude for what the American people have done for his country over the past few years. And so he was on the brink of signing an economic agreement that would have ensured economic prosperity for the Ukrainian people and recouped American tax dollars for funding this war. Instead, because of his rude and antagonistic ways, the deal blew up in his face. President Trump wants peace. He remains committed to that. But President Zelensky either needs to change his attitude or perhaps he can't make a deal at all.
Well, Caroline, we're hearing different narratives tonight, but is President Trump in the mood at all to revisit this mineral deal, given what happened earlier today?
Well, I think the president remains committed to peace, and he wants to see this war end. That has been the president's intention all along. Don't forget, he talked about this extensively on the campaign trail as soon as he was elected on November 5th, before he was even inaugurated. He talked to Zelensky. His team started negotiations to end this war, and more has been done in a month by President Trump and his team to move towards a tangible and lasting peace than the previous 3 years under the past administration.
I'm sorry to interrupt. But Caroline, I'm talking about the deal. Of course, you were all set up. You had the table set up, the room set up to sign that mineral deal.
That's right.
And what now?
Well, we'll have to see, and it's up to President Trump with the next move that he makes. But I think he made it very clear today in asking President Zelensky and the Ukrainians to leave the White House that Zelensky is not in the right mindset. And again, the minerals deal was an economic framework, and it was the first step towards a peace deal. But Zelensky came into the Oval Office talking about security guarantees, talking about what Europe wants to do. Well, the president has been talking to Europe, too. He had the leaders of France and the UK here this week precisely to talk about how to end this war. And so, again, it's unfortunate circumstances for President Zelensky, but the president is not going to back down in doing what's right for the American people. And that's what this economic partnership was. It would have recouped the hundreds of billions of dollars that we've funded towards this war, and it would have been good for the Ukrainian people as well.
Caroline, Susan Rice and others tonight have said that this was an ambush, a setup, that this was the plan all along for Vance and Trump to go at him and create this drama. Your response?
That's absolutely not true. President Trump was excited about this economic agreement. And it was President Zelensky, if you roll the tape, who actually antagonized the vice president in front of the cameras and picked a fight with him. And as President Trump said, I think it was great that the cameras were rolling because the American people and the entire world got to see what President Trump and his team have been dealing with behind closed doors in the negotiations with the Ukrainians. They've been, again, incredibly hard-headed, and all President Trump wants is peace. And in order to negotiate peace, both sides have to come to the table, both sides have to talk, and both sides in a good deal usually walk away a little unhappy. President Zelensky fails to recognize that. And again, this is not the previous administration. Joe Biden is no longer in that Oval Office. We are no longer going to just write blank checks to a war very far away without real, lasting peace. And that's what the president wants.
Caroline, who made the decision to cancel the lunch? How did that go down, and did you have any of it?
Well, the president enjoyed the lunch. He figuratively and literally ate President Zelensky's lunch today. But it was his decision. He felt as though President Zelensky was not in a place to negotiate peace at this point in time.
Caroline, as always, great to see you.